In 1519, the most powerful job in Europe went up for sale. Not the throne of one country, the crown of the Holy Roman Empire. Two men wanted it, a king of Spain, a king of France, and the winner wasn't decided by armies or blood or God. It was decided by one banker, in a counting house in Germany. He fronted the money, he bought the votes, he picked the emperor. His name was Jakob Fugger, and he may be the richest man who ever lived. You've probably never heard of him. That was sort of the point. This is the story of a weaver's son, who ended up owning kings, a man who funded popes, started a religious revolution by accident, and built something 500 years ago that people still live in today. Stay with me. The last part is the strangest. Let's go back. Augsburg, Germany, the 1400s. The Fuggers weren't nobles, they made cloth. Weavers, tradespeople, nobody important. Jakob was the youngest of 7 brothers. They sent him to Venice to learn the family business. And in Venice, he learned something his family hadn't. Cloth made you comfortable. Money made you powerful. So Jakob stopped thinking like a merchant. He started thinking like a bank. He began lending. Small at first, then bigger. And he figured out something most people missed. Don't just lend money. Lend it to people who can't pay you back in cash. Lend it to kings and take their silver instead. That's exactly what he did. Across the Alps, in Tyrol and Hungary, the ground was full of silver and copper. Fugger lent rulers the money they desperately needed. And when they couldn't repay him, and they never could, he took the mines. Soon he controlled most of the copper in Europe. Think about that. One family. The metal an entire continent ran on. His biggest customer was the most important family in Europe, the Habsburgs. They had titles, land, armies, ambition. What they didn't have was cash. Wars are expensive. Crowns are expensive. The Habsburgs were always short, so they came to Fugger again and again. And every loan tied them a little tighter to him, until the biggest deal in European history landed on his desk. 1519. The Holy Roman Emperor dies. The empire wasn't passed down by blood. It was voted on. 7 men chose the next emperor. They were called the Prince-Electors, and 7 men can be bought. 2 candidates went all in. Charles, the young king of Spain, and Francis, the king of France. Both started bribing the electors, openly, aggressively. This wasn't a scandal. This was just how it worked. Whoever paid the most would wear the crown, and the bribes climbed into a fortune no king actually had lying around. Francis borrowed from Italian bankers. Charles turned to one man, Fugger. Fugger put up the money, most of it, around 850,000 florins, a staggering sum for the time. The gold flowed to the electors. The votes came back, and Charles became Emperor Charles V, ruler of an empire so large they said the sun never set on it. He had Fugger to thank for it, literally. Years later, Charles got slow about paying Fugger back. Emperors are like that, so Fugger sat down and wrote him a letter. And this part is real. We still have it today. He reminded the most powerful man in the world, plainly, that without him, Charles would never have worn the crown at all. It was well known, he wrote, that your majesty could not have gained the crown without me. Nobody talked to an emperor like that. Fugger did, because Fugger knew exactly what he was worth. But kings were only half of it. Fugger also banked the church. When the Vatican needed money, it came to Augsburg too. And here's where the story gets dark. To raise cash, the church was selling something called indulgences. Pay a little money. Reduce your time in purgatory. Buy your way toward heaven. And the Fugger Bank handled that money, took its cut, moved the gold. A monk in Germany watched all of this and got furious. His name was Martin Luther. He attacked the Fuggers by name, said no family on earth should be that rich. He nailed his complaints to a church door and lit the fuse on the Reformation, the split that broke Western Christianity in two. Fugger didn't set out to start it, but his money was right there in the middle. So how rich was he really? It's hard to compare wealth across 500 years, but people have tried. By some estimates, at his peak, Fugger was worth close to 2% of Europe's entire economy. One man, 2% of a continent. By that measure, he may have been richer than anyone before or since. Richer than the kings he was lending to. Richer, some say, than almost anyone alive today. Now here's the part I promised you. With all that money, Fugger did something strange for a man like him. In his own city, Augsburg, he built a small neighborhood for the poor. Rows of little houses for working people who had fallen on hard times. He called it the Fuggerei, and he set the rent at 1 Rhenish guilder a year, plus a few daily prayers for his soul. That was the whole deal. 1 guilder a year, forever. And here's the strange part. It's still standing. People still live in it. And the rent is still 1 guilder a year, less than €1 in today's money. 500 years later, you can rent a home from a dead banker for under €1, as long as you still say the prayers. Jakob Fugger died in 1525. No children, he left everything to his nephew. The family stayed rich for a while, then slowly faded. The mines ran dry, the kings defaulted, the world moved on. And the name that once decided who ruled Europe quietly disappeared from the story. We remember the emperors, the popes, the painters. We forget the man who paid for all of them. Maybe that's how real power likes it. Not sitting on the throne, just holding the receipt. If this one was worth your time, there's a whole channel of stories like it. The people money made, and the people money erased. I'll see you in the next one.